Okay, we've got to talk a little bit about last night. The Indiana Pacers falling to the Oklahoma City Thunder. 123 to 107 was the final. Basically, an 18-19 point game throughout most of the second half. Pacers never really had their fourth quarter run. Rick Carlisle realized it was not going to be the same type of game where the Pacers have the big comeback over the game's final 4 or 5 minutes. So, with just under 4 minutes left, he started waving the white flag. He basically emptied his bench. You saw Furphy check in. That was game over, and the Pacers end up falling. This game wasn't lost in the third quarter, wasn't lost in the fourth quarter. It was lost late first quarter. First of all, the Pacers went to their bench. I think they had three reserves on the floor. I know at least two. And late in the final 3 or 4 minutes of that first quarter. And the Pacers had the lead. They were up 20-17. Things were going pretty well. But then all of a sudden, they let the game get away from them. They got rattled. Oklahoma City hit a couple of shots. The next thing you know, the Pacers were launching some off balance threes, some real questionable shot selection. And Oklahoma City went on a 9 point run to end the first quarter. To me, that's where the game was lost. Yeah, they were only down 26-20 at that point, but the momentum was on Oklahoma City's side. All of a sudden, they took control of the game. The crowd was now into it. And it didn't take long in the second quarter for Oklahoma City to pretty much put the game away as the Thunder went on a 19-2 run. They had a 9 point run, a 10 point run, in between a 2 point basket for the Pacers. But before you knew it, it was 52-29. And the game from that point forward was over. Now, the Pacers have to do some things better. First of all, Oklahoma City completely shut down the paint in the first quarter. The Pacers' points were primarily coming from behind the 3 point line, where they were getting some very good looks because Oklahoma City had decided they were not allowing the Pacers to get into the lane. And so you take away McConnell with that type of action, you take away Toppin. Miles Turner was forced away from the basket. Pascal Siakam was a non-factor early. And so that was, I think, the game plan for Oklahoma City was to take away the paint and try to close on shooters. And early on, the Pacers got some looks, but it wasn't enough. They got 3 point happy and tried to just keep taking them, and were missing them. And guys that were taking them, there were a couple of off balance threes. I think Neesmith took kind of a wild one. Nemhard took a wild one. And then you had McConnell shooting one, a 17-footer. I think a little fadeaway near the elbow. You had Tyrese Halliburton missed a mid-range. But that was when the game got out of hand, late first quarter. So the Pacers have to regroup from this one. And I don't think it's going to be that difficult. You look at Oklahoma City, they were 4-3 on the road so far in the playoffs. The Pacers are 6-2 at home. Gainbridge, as Rick Carlisle has said in the presser, the Pacers need to get the type of crowd in Indianapolis that Oklahoma City had in those first two games. Pacers still come away from Oklahoma City with a split, which is more than enough if you take care of business on your home court. But this is a really good Oklahoma City team, and it's going to take two really good efforts. But if you look, the history for Oklahoma City is to go on the road and lose. And they did it with Denver. In fact, they fell behind in the series 2-1 by losing game 3 at Denver, a position that they would find themselves in if Indianapolis or Indiana gets the win over Oklahoma City on Wednesday night. They also lost game 3 going up to Minnesota, and they were up in that series 2-0, and Minnesota won that game by almost 40 points. So let's keep optimism here in Indiana, because the Pacers are not done. Don't let the national media fool you. They want to now all come back out of the closet and say, hey, I saw that game 1, but now that I saw game 2, I feel much better about my pick for Oklahoma City to win this thing in 5 games or 6 games, which is what most of them have picked. There's a handful that say it might go 7, but the reality is most of them have Oklahoma City in 5 or 6. Now they're telling you how Oklahoma City is going to be able to win the next 3 games in a row or 3 of the next 4. But the Pacers do have games 3, 4, and 6 all on their home floor, and they've got to be good. Now, here's one thing that has to improve for the Pacers. Right now, neither Tyrese Halliburton nor Pascal Siakam has had a 20-point game. The Pacers have to rely on somebody really having a big night because you've got to somewhat balance or neutralize what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing to the Pacers defense, which is absolutely torching them. The Pacers aren't getting there quick enough on the double team. They're getting beat on the perimeter. You've got to guard him on the 3-point line because he hits 3-pointers. They've tried Nesmith. They've tried Mathurin. They've tried Nembhard. So far, he's a tough matchup because he's 6'6". And so, you go with your biggest of those defenders and go with Aaron Nesmith, but even Nesmith is giving up a half inch or so to Shai. So it's a difficult matchup for the Pacers, but they'll figure it out. You got to have a lot of trust at this point in Rick Carlisle to be able to come up with a defensive game plan to try to make things difficult for Shai. But more importantly, you go on the road for Oklahoma City, you're not going to expect to get the 3-point shooting that you got out of guys like Alex Caruso in Game 2. I think the Pacers have every chance to win Game 3. I think this will be another fun game in this series, but the Pacers have to, what they've got to do is they've got to establish some control of one of these games. It is a lot more draining and taxing to play from behind than it is to play from ahead. Oklahoma City's had the luxury of being able to play from in front. That means it's the Pacers who are doing the scrambling and giving of the extra energy to try to come back into ball games. And that's not the strength of the Pacers. The strength of the Pacers is to come out, hit some shots, take the lead, get in control of the game, and then force the other team to burn a lot of energy trying to come back. And I thought in the first 2 games that was neutralized because the Pacers were the team that was behind. So they couldn't have that in their advantage. They couldn't wear teams down because they were the ones that had to be the hunter instead of being the hunted. And so if the Pacers can get out to a lead, I think that helps significantly in front of the home crowd, especially to keep that crowd engaged and keep them involved. You've got to have the lead. And that certainly helps. Oklahoma City did it. Late first quarter, 9-0 run in Game 2. They took control of the game. They led by 6 heading to the second quarter. And before you could blink, it was 52-29. And that was not only a 19-2 run, but it was, what was that? Like a 27-9 run or something like that. Maybe even worse than that. It was because the score was 20-17 Pacers at one point, and then it was 52-29. So the Pacers had 9 points, and OKC would have had 35. So that's 35-9 run from late in the first quarter until about midway through the second quarter. Pacers did fight back to try to make it at least interesting in the second half, but they never made it that interesting. Every time they had a chance to make a little run or a push to get it down to maybe 12 or 11, they ended up taking a bad shot or missing an open look. And then, of course, Oklahoma City turns around, and when you give them an open look, they were burying it last night. So big game coming up Wednesday night. We'll talk more about it coming up here on the Sports Rush YouTube channel. Once again, make sure you do subscribe, like, share, comment, and ring the bell so that you get alerts for our postings here on the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. But we'll give you the complete breakdown each game along the way. Tonight, Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers. Love the fact that the Panthers get to play at home again. They haven't had the home ice advantage throughout this Stanley Cup Finals run, and so it's kind of nice to to get a home game here and there. It seems like they've played 75% of their games on the road, but they will be at home tonight. A tie series 1-1. Both games in Edmonton went into at least one overtime. Game 2 went into 2 overtimes. I don't think we have overtime tonight. I'm saying 6-3 is the final. The Panthers win it. I think they're going to really put the offensive onslaught onto Stuart Skinner, and I think they'll be able to break through. I think the forecheck will come into play. I think they'll pressure the Edmonton defensemen. I think that the puck will get coughed up. It will give Florida some opportunities, and I think the Panthers find the net at home when they get those opportunities. So I'm riding with a big Panthers win. We'll see what happens tonight. Have a great Monday. Don't forget, Tin Caps start a 6-game homestand all week long. They'll be at Parkview Field taking on the in-state rival South Bend Cubs. They'll start it off tomorrow night and back to the regular 7:05 starts all week long. Saturday 6:35 and then the Sunday 1:05 first pitch. But get your tickets and be there at the ballpark. Looks like the weather's going to be pretty nice this week. And so it's finally time to come out. Summer vacation is here. Enjoy it downtown at Parkview Field. I'll be joining Jaden. I'll be joining Jaden. I got to get the name right. I still have trouble with Jaden. I don't know why Jaden causes me problems, but it does. I'll be with Jaden for the Tin Caps broadcast on the television side. So if you are watching the games, you'll probably catch me there. And the new guy, who I haven't even met yet, he'll be joining Mike Moss on the radio side at 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. All right, have a terrific Monday. We'll see you at the ballpark this week, and we'll talk to you again soon.